Now, there are some assumptions out there in society that work is bad for you, and you should stop working as soon as you can, that you should retire as soon as you can. Life is better if you retire. You're being cheated out of life if you can't retire. There's all these assumptions out there, and actually I challenge that. I think there's basic dignity in working, and I think that contributing to your communities and to your people around you, that is something that actually becomes more important as you get older. And I really want to talk about that for a second. Some alternatives to think about. Rather than a full-time retirement, maybe you have the freedom now, because you have a pension, because you have other financial resources, you can pick the work that you want to do. You don't have to work as many hours. You might work at something that doesn't pay as well as it used to, but you've got other resources like your pension, like Social Security, that actually can enable you to do that. Maybe you have the same job, but you just do more of what you like doing and less of what you don't like doing. You can start your own business, but don't wipe out your retirement savings doing that. You can go into a new career. There are all kinds of possibilities. So why would we want to do this? I mean, there's the obvious financial advantages, but let me talk about something that is relatively new in our insights. This is a chart here which compares the annual death rates of people between age 50 and 70. The green bars are death rates for people who are fully retired, and the blue bars are death rates for people who are working. Now, a death rate is just what are the odds of dying in a given year. But you look at this, and this is for men. The chart's the same for women, but not quite as pronounced. You look at this, and the people who are working have about half the chance of dying in any given year as the people who aren't working. What's going on here? I mean, isn't retirement supposed to be a good thing? I started digging into this when I saw these rates, and this really intrigued me. And it immediately begs the question, is this causation or correlation? Causation is just a fancy word for working actually causes or enables you to be healthier and live longer. Correlation means it's just a coincidence. Now, we can't really do scientific experiments to prove this exactly, because we'd have to take one group of people and say, you're going to take cruises and play golf for 20 years, and take another group of people and say, you're going to work for 20 years, and then we're going to measure the difference in mortality rates. So we're just not going to do that experiment. But curious scientists have done this experiment with dogs, believe it or not. Other scientists have done things called longitudinal studies where they've identified people. Actually, Harvard and Stanford did this. They started in the 1920s, and they identified a group of individuals, and they followed them all the way throughout their lives. And at every step of their way, they looked at how they're doing and how well they're doing. If they started in the 1920s, these studies are actually maturing, which means the participants are dying off. And they studied in their later years which people were doing well and which people weren't doing well. And it turns out between these dog studies and the longitudinal studies, the evidence is actually weighing in on the causation side, that working actually causes or enables you to be healthier and live longer. Now, when you dig deeper into this, it isn't necessarily working that does it. And what really it is engagement with life. People who have powerful reasons for getting up in the morning, those are the folks that are doing better. Now, you can get those powerful reasons for working if you have to work for the money. But if you don't have to work for the money, like a lot of you are in a situation where you might not have to, then it's having maybe a hobby or some cause that you're passionate about. It's volunteering, maybe being an important part of your grandchildren, your extended family. Just look for those powerful reasons for getting up in the morning. To me, this is as important in your retirement planning as your financial issues. Think about it. When we're working, those powerful reasons for getting up in the morning, that powerful reason is the alarm clock going off saying you got to go to work. Or that powerful reason are your children or that are either in the house still and needing you to get them going out, or they're calling you up, hey, Mom, I'm in trouble, So when we're in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, we have those automatic reasons for getting up in the morning. And those are good reasons. But once we get into our retirement years, we don't have to get up to go to work. Our kids are out of the household, hopefully. And we have to actually be conscious about what those powerful reasons are. And we actually have to plan for it and think about it. And so that's something I'd encourage all of you, is to find those powerful reasons for getting up in the morning. It's really going to help you out. So an alternative life plan to think about with respect to work maybe is to phase down earlier in your life, but then do that longer throughout your life. Now, I think for most Americans, this is more realistic financially But it's also, I think, better for their health.